are archiving it, but anything outside of this right here, we can't see. So if you talk, we won't see you. We'll hear you, but we won't see you.
Well, I mean, at the risk of breaking your camera, fine.
No, come be seen. Come be seen. And if somebody doesn't want to be seen, that wants to man the chat screen,
absolutely.
Are there
right
people
here?
in the chat room?
Absolutely.
You'll
we
do
got
that?
we got a few unnamed people, and then a few named people right
Oh,
there.
cool.
Popping
like
now.
a fisheye
Yeah, that's one thing we
thing,
messed up
or-
at DC is we didn't have anyone monitoring the chat room. So. All right. I started recording. You guys should be good. Rock.
Excellent.
Phone in airplane mode, which doesn't mean anything anymore apparently.
So I'm going to say hi to the chat room.
Okay, excellent.
Hi in the chat room. I mean, right.
Are we labeled? Why are cake balls and barbecue sandwiches more important than space science?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know how to read
You might
this.
want to know why we're here.
Why? Let's see.
What's a kickball? Oh, that. Gotcha.
You are going to find out.
Ha!
Say.
So much for staying in the dark,
Pushing
man.
buttons
I
until
tried.
one of them works. That is the key.
Why are barbecue sandwiches?
Yeah, why are cake balls and barbecue sandwiches, BBQ sandwiches, more important than space science?
Yeah, why is that? By the way, nice. I like it. Very cool.
Oh, thank you. It's the Yellow Dragon of Knowledge for you.
I did not know that different colors of dragons had different
Yes. Yes, Japanese dragons are good dragons. They're not bad dragons. And this happens to be the Dragon of Knowledge.
Side note, I was just at Epcot, right? Fountain of Knowledge that Disney is. And they actually had a whole display about anime and the fact that a lot of the anime characters are actually derivatives of
Yes.
ancient
Yeah.
spirits and gnomes and guardians. And I had no idea that all that stuff existed. It was fascinating to see how it's translated into modern culture, where now you have
And,
all
it has,
these crazy anime things. And I was,
and you have absolutely no idea what they were referring to. There's actually something on it.
right. Well, and if I had
that.
been, and if I had been brought up in the culture, it would have made a lot more sense to me to
Right.
watch some of these cartoons and go, "Why is this guy acting so
That's
weird?"
why so
Like,
many of those
right.
he's a-
seem like
okay.
inside jokes.
And that's, yes, and then my
Yeah.
son is completely immersed in that culture. Now he's obsessed with Japan, so he's graduating high school, so his senior gift from the whole family is a trip to Japan.
Oh, wow.
And so that
It's
he
gorgeous
can
up there.
experience all these things. And he did start researching. He learned that, and he started researching. And actually, he's the one that chose which dragon. I knew I wanted to have sleeve dragon. I wanted traditional, and he's the one that chose this one.
Wow.
It wasn't until I went to Japan that I first had salad for breakfast. I would never have thought salad for breakfast actually meant, but you try it in the morning and you go, that's surprisingly refreshing. I mean, you wouldn't think about it because we're just not thought to eat salad for breakfast. And you do that over there in the
Takes a lot
morning.
of water
And yeah, and it's like, wow, not bad actually.
Gets you going,
Uh-huh.
digestive system.
So it's like, okay.
But it's not high carb. I'm always amazed that our breakfast foods are,
Yeah, all that.
99% carb. And what does that mean? Is that 11 o'clock?
Are they going to push the schedule back?
I don't have
Some
any
or
idea.
because lunch is scheduled in 25 minutes.
Uh-oh.
So
We gotta get moving.
Let's get going
Okay.
here.
I posted the topic
Lunch
into
is
the...
scheduled in 25 minutes, but it's flexible.
Okay, so it is
There we go.
flexible. Okay.
Unless you want just leftovers.
Right.
I posted
I
the
got
topic
turkey
of
and
your
barbecue.
session into the chat room, and the first person has responded and said, because hungry nerds are mean nerds.
That is true. That is true. But we're going to go ahead and get started. First off, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Cindy Wood, and I am an educator here in the district. And I will be giving you an interactive discussion over why cake balls and barbecue sandwiches are more important than space sciences. And I am going to read a little bit of a disclaimer here and say that the district is trimming back core electives to reduce the number of courses overall to use our personnel in a more financially responsible manner. Also, students enrolled in CTE courses generate more funding for the district. The move will assist in avoiding killing classes, each that do not have enough kids enrolled, and removing some core electives that lack the rigor we are looking for in our core areas. So I'm going to attempt to avoid negative press when visiting with you and support the direction of the school. So when you finish with me, I hope that you have a positive outlook on the district's effort to balance the budget.
Okay.
Okay.
You're supposed to say that really
Gotta tell us
fast
what CTE
and in a small voice afterwards.
So, exactly.
You probably don't want that broadcast to the world.
Real APR, 8.45%.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Okay.
I think this is useful to have.
Right.
So number one, what district?
What do you-
What do you mean when you keep saying district?
My district.
I don't know what
The district
you're
that I
talking
teach in Texas. That's
Okay, so
okay.
Texas
So the
Public
state
School
of Texas, just the whole state of Texas, I'll be addressing, and probably not the best idea to broadcast my personal district.
about. Oh, gotcha. But it's a
Okay,
Texas Public School District.
Yes, Texas
Okay.
Public School.
Gotcha.
And
What is a CTE?
CTE is Career and Technology Education.
Okay.
Yes. So,
So we've never
and
been together.
yes, and in fact, what I would like to point out, in Texas, there are 3 diplomas that you can get as a high school student. You can get the minimum high school diploma, which is basically reserved for those students that may have some challenges in their lives for whatever reason, and it takes basically a special committee to be allowed to do the minimum plan. Then we have our recommended high school program, which includes 4 years of science and 4 years of math, along with the usual stuff. And then we have something called the Distinguished Achievement Program, which the students can pursue, and by having qualified in 4 areas, which include rigorous testing or classes, they can receive that Distinguished Achievement Program diploma, which basically means that they take a 3rd year of foreign language instead of the 2 years, and that they have not taken IPC or math models as their math and science course. So, yes.
IPC.
Integrated Physics and Chemistry. It's the
Basically
old school
the-
physical science class that
Basically
we had
cheating
every year.
two of courses together so you don't get rigorousness in either of them.
Gotcha.
Right. Yeah, it's a lower level.
It's
been a while since I've been-
Right.
Yeah, I actually have a daughter graduating in 3
Right.
years this year, so
Yes.
she's gone through all of that and on the DAPs.
Yes. So what I would like to point out, in getting back to what our topic is, our district and across the state of Texas and in many other states in the country are suffering severe education budget cuts. So we are, last year my school cut 45 positions, and we were able to absorb them as retirements or as a new high school was opening up. The teachers, so nobody actually got pink slipped. They were able to go out, and our student enrollment went down when the new school opened. But even with that happening, we're at my particular school, they're looking to have to cut about 19 more positions between now and next year. So this is kind of where we've come in terms of why are the cake balls and the barbecue sandwiches more important. I'm a physics teacher and very, very interested in astronomy. I have been working to try to get astronomy on my campus. Astronomy is a class that is it's actually a state course. I mean, it's a recognized state course, and is considered by the state a course that qualifies for a 4th year science class. So we're expecting rigor and you know, a student in a 4th year science class, and it is taught in different districts and even in my campus or in my district on other campuses.
Like the new school that we can't talk about.
So, but astronomy is not taught at the school where I teach at. I do teach 6 sections of physics, and with the new 4x4 program and the way everything's working, we do have a very large group of kids taking physics now. I mean, basically everybody in the state of Texas takes physics.
Wow.
It is not the same physics that we had when we were children. It is not a course that was, only taken by the science geeks and people planning on going into engineering or some kind of math. Everybody pretty much in the state of Texas takes physics now. And the state of Texas has actually changed the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, our outline of what teachers teach, to be a course that even freshmen can take, because the only math you need to take this physics is a co-requisite of Algebra 1.
So it's very low level. So
It
everybody's
is
taking
not
physics, but it's not physics.
exactly.
It's an introduction to physics.
Yes, and the real problem is that they have to go through 2 long chapters to keep from doing one integral, or
there's no integrals.
Because you have to get around the fact that to make this physics understandable to them, you have to have some mathematical background, and if you don't have to do that, you have to describe the physics in a way that is so drawn out. It takes 14 lectures to get through what would be one simple thing if you had a simple understanding of trigonometric calculus, or
2 weeks instead of 2 days.
Exactly. You get it. That's exactly the problem. It has to be stretched out with Math for Dummies, which makes physics almost impossible to teach in a way that makes it useful.
And it's a conceptual, which, it does have, since biology and chemistry, everything is based on physics. The thought is, and I was not on any of the councils or boards that, inputted in that decision, and being the physics teacher that I am, I would prefer that not have happened. But I'm, of course, going to support the state and my district and their goals. But, so what's the cake, balls, and barbecue sandwich have to do with it? Well, what's happening is, although we're not going to offer astronomy, and I'm not the only school that's in this situation, or space science or anything like that, children for their 4th year of science now can take food science, which does not have to be taught by a science teacher. Your old school home ec teachers, now they have the new certification. They're the ones that teach food science.
What is food science?
It is
like viscosity of an egg, or
not from
protein
what,
synthesis from milk, or
not from what I particularly understand. When I looked at, I went online and I looked at what it's very broad. It leaves that as a possibility, but it's not a requirement. So when they say food science, basically we're learning about nutrition.
Okay.
And there's
Health,
valid
sanitary
parts.
standards, those kinds of things.
Yes, and
kind of home ec.
Kind of a culinary class. Think of it like that.
Yeah.
That's right. It sounds almost like a home ec and a basic health class kind of smushed together.
And what I have noticed and profited, actually, by students of mine that maybe have both classes actually bring me cake balls. So on a regular basis, whenever the food science class has baked cake balls, I get free cake balls from lots of different students.
Gotcha.
And cake balls are round, and the earth is round, and the moon is round. If you do them right, they're round. And
oblate spheroids, they're not
Yeah, I was about to say, be careful.
But and I absolutely adore the teachers that teach the class. They're very enthusiastic about trying to incorporate the type of science, because there are opportunities to understand why you would put, baking powder, in when you want something to rise, or using yeast. But where is the rigor in that? Where is the preparation for what we need from our students today? What we want to continue to be leaders in the space race, but we have very quickly fallen behind. We're basically going to be turning ISS over, I imagine. There are other countries that are so far ahead of us in terms of their math and science. Here in the United States, we educate all. We don't. It's not. We're not selective. We don't say no. You don't belong here. And on my campus, any child that wants to take an advanced placement course, an AP course, can. There's no requirement, no teacher recommendation to get into the pre-AP classes. Any student that walks in and says, I want to take, irregardless of, what the rigor they've experienced in the past.
So an F student can come in and take AP Calculus?
Yes.
They'll feel miserable, but they can.
Now, and that's
And
assuming,
that's the question,
but they
isn't
still
it?
may, and generally when we talk about that kind of a student, it's usually not an intellectual issue. It's usually a socialization or a behavior issue or a passive aggressiveness kind of issue. They're the ones that go in, they might fail calculus, but they make a 5 on the calculus AP test. Which does not make them pass the class. Of course, they would probably, but they're the ones that generally scoot by. They may be failing the whole semester and at the last minute, really come through on that final exam. They know where they stand. But yeah, any student can come in and do that. Some of the classes that are offered as a 4th-year science class are pathophysiology, engineering design and problem solving, advanced animal science, advanced plant and soil science, food science, engineering design and development, and forensic science. Okay? And those are just some. Yes, those are just some of them. There's also others like AP Biology, Environmental Systems Ecology, AP Environmental Science, Aquatic Science, Anatomy and Astronomy, Anatomy and Physiology and Astronomy. Now those courses are ones that are taught by certified science teachers. Things like the engineering design, advanced animal science, along with the plant and soil science, those are not taught by science teachers, those are taught by your agriculture teachers.
Engineering?
Agriculture. No, the animal science and plant and soil science.
Okay, good.
Okay, but they qualify as your 4th-year science. Okay, so why are students even interested in this area down the street? We've got LPI here, NASA's here. I'm from this area. Why are we encouraging students to take these courses instead of Earth and Space Science or astronomy? Well, it's because these courses qualify as the CTE, the Career and Technology Education classes. And the state of Texas pays the district more money for students that are enrolled in Career and Technology Education classes. The same reason that, like, when students, they used to take speech, and it doesn't matter what the state says about whether it's required or not. Well, instead of speech, if they take professional communications is a CTE class. So we funnel the kids towards the classes that get the Career and Technology Education credit. And you can go to the Texas Education Agency website, look up your CTE, Career and Technology Education, and you can find out what courses qualify. You can find out how much every single district in the state of Texas received for the CTE money. That's available in Excel or PDF spreadsheet.
Is there a way to take some of the classes? I mean, is there a way to make astronomy a CTE class, or is there a way to get some of those?
That's ultimately up to the state of Texas. The Texas Education Agency is the one that decides what these courses are. And in fact, like right here, what I have, and it's under TAC Chapter 130, Career and Technical Education. It's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 pages worth of classes that they can be, the main topics are Transportation, Distribution, and Logistics Cluster, Manufacturing Cluster, Marketing Cluster, Information Technology Cluster, Human Services Cluster, which includes cosmetology, Hospitality and Tourism Cluster, which is where the culinary arts falls. Health Science Cluster, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 classes under that. And that includes medical terminology. Government and Public Administration Cluster. I've never seen on any of the campus that I've ever taught, other than somebody can take a Political Science 2 class, that falls under that. Education and Training Cluster is where your PALS program and things like that come into play, where the students go and actually kind of intern at the local elementary schools, and and that qualifies. Business Management and Administration. A lot of the students that participate in DECA, which I'm not quite sure what that stands for, but it's like our business and marketing, and they go and they contest and they take tests on all the different areas.
Distributive education.
Yeah.
So it doesn't sound like there's any technical or science.
Biology or
mostly
chemistry.
Which is unusual because I know
Right.
at Kennedy Space Center, which is where I was from up until this week, that was a big deal, is that they say,
Right.
you know, for every engineer that you have drawing up plans for something, you need 6 or 8 technicians that are
Exactly.
actually turning bolts on a machine and out, you know, repairing and inspecting stuff. So it's unusual that would be, maybe because they don't see as much of it here, but there's tons of engineering technology, you know, programs that are out there that seem to be missing from that curriculum. So is that what's needed?
Sort
here?
of filtered into magnet schools, or are there not?
No, the magnet schools would also, any public school in the state of Texas has to follow, you know, the golden rule here. And, you know, under the agriculture, food, and natural resources is where that food processing, that's where the barbecue sandwich comes into play. Because once they've learned enough, on Fridays, we get $5 barbecue sandwiches.
Because the kids made them.
Yeah, in their class.
Well, and I don't see a problem with that. I mean, we did a big education program with an air show, and we had Air Force people coming in and Thunderbird pilots and engineers talking to them. And we had a culinary academy locally. You know, the students made and delivered the lunches and then stayed for the career talks.
Right.
And then got to go and tour the hotel where we were doing it and all of their back end piece. You know, so we combined the two together and it worked really well. But it seems like there's a missing there, that there's no industrial arts or construction or shop.
They do have those, but the point I'm trying to make is that these particular ones are qualifying as a 4th-year science class.
Right.
So instead of the students taking biology, AP biology, or astronomy, earth and space science, or a more rigorous science, these classes are being offered as their 4th-year science.
And why do you think that is, though? I mean, it seems like they're focused on giving the kids a skill to get out of school and be into the workforce, not out of school and into more school.
No, and very much agreed. Very much agreed on that. Not every child, this is my personal belief, not my district's belief, but not every single child is destined to go off to a 4-year university. Our campus goal, though, is to, I mean, you go and you can sit in your meetings, our campus goal is to send every child prepared for a 4-year university. And my big concern, I want there to be vocational programs, and we have the culinary school, which is at one campus. We've got an industrial arts kind of program that's vocational, that's at a different campus. We have a cosmetology program that the students can go through and be ready to sit for their test by the time they graduate, and that's at one campus. So we do have vocational programs, but they're spread out amongst the other, the campuses.
But with the vocational programs, the students are not all. This sounds like they're not all filtered into those vocational programs, but that there are also classes that sound vocational, but that are not.
Correct. I mean, food science is not a vocational preparation class. It is not. The student that is in the culinary arts probably would take that to get their 4th-year science credit, but they're also involved in they're on the other campus and doing that. But we still have food science on my campus where we don't have the culinary arts.
As to who can take that class.
Correct. Every student can take that class as their 4th-year science.
So if you've been through, 3 AP classes in your junior year and you're a little burned out and you're looking at what your science options are, instead of having your options be you can take biology, chemistry, or physics, now it's, well, you can take biology, chemistry, physics, or food science.
Or forensic science.
Or forensics.
Or meat processing.
You can either do Top Chef, or you can do CSI, or you can do Animal Cops, whatever those.
Right.
So how do we get them to want to do Mythbusters?
Right. They very much like that. The kids,
like that.
I don't believe it's because the kids don't want to take it. They're not given the option necessarily to take some of the other courses that would be supportive of this area because of the money. Would you, if you're a principal or a district that's hard up for money and you need more money so that you're not, you see it in terms of not losing, I need more money so I don't have to cut a teacher.
Right.
But when I looked at the Texas Education Agency website as of today, my district, brought in less than half, and we're not even talking about the salary of a teacher. We're talking about around $17,000 our entire district got from TEA for students that qualified under the CTE program.
So are there CTE programs then that you were going through all the things, but are there any of them that are science or technology?
Yes, there are, and they're engineering types where it includes, well, we've got some computer ones, information technology. They can do that cluster. There's a mathematics cluster, or science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That includes practicums. Okay, but those practicums don't qualify as a fourth-year science. In fact, I'm looking at this list, and their scientific research and design would qualify.
Is that an indication of oversight, or is it intentional?
Well, we are able, according to the state of Texas, we are able to offer those classes.
Right.
Okay, it's just a matter of why our particular district or campus in any area, because you want to give, this area here is not the same as a district that would be out in West Texas. I'm looking for.
It looks like those would be taken as electives then.
Right. So those would count as their electives, and also there's some rules about where they can substitute a certain amount of that for PE. So they get worked in, but see, obviously, they would not be pursuing, this is so tight, their vocational classes are so tight, it doesn't leave room for personal, choices for electives and stuff.
And how are these arranged as far as the students are able to choose? Like, is it
any student that walks in and says, I want to do this,
okay,
can get started, and they all, when you look in the catalogs, they all follow a path.
Well, like I'm just thinking of are they arranged such that the like the food science stuff will show up first, like that's the first thing they'd see, or is it just, or is there like a counselor that walks them through?
No, they get something like this.
Just like a catalog.
Yeah, they get their catalog, and because the catalog lists everything that the state of Texas offers that says if you take this class, but not every district offers every class that the state of Texas has authorized.
High school
So
students.
Cindy,
Yes, it is.
do you think this comes down to advocacy? Do you think that parents and kids need to start arguing for some of the higher level classes?
I think that is where the districts are finally going to start listening. When in my experience, I've taught 18 years. I've taught in several different districts. I've been at lower economic types of campuses, and then I've been at the top in terms of economics. But I find that when it comes to course selection, there's just kind of this attitude, you're either completely vocational or you're four-year college bound. So you're either going to do whatever the bare minimum is to get by, and those parents generally aren't too involved other than making sure their students get through high school. Then on the other side, where we have students that are competing for the places in the top 10%, we don't worry about those because they're not impacting, they're not choosing the CTE classes. They don't.
So they're carrying a full load of AP,
right?
Is
Is
exactly for MIT.
Exactly. Right. So that's not the issue. So we have this very large middle ground where the students are good kids and they do what they're supposed to do. It's just in terms of how does somebody advocate if they don't know this is even an issue? Okay, because they're not told out front that, well, you could have been taking astronomy, but we're not offering it.
Because it's not something that we're getting paid by the state to do. If you would like to be a hairdresser, we would pay for you to learn how to be a hairdresser. If you want to learn about stars, we don't consider that as important as hairdressing.
Yes. It could, because it doesn't fall into a vocational program.
Right.
And if you're the AP student, you wouldn't have been taking astronomy as a fourth-year science anyway, because it's not advanced placement, and it doesn't have the advanced GPA that goes with it. So, and it's this middle ground. They never create trouble. They're good. Like I said, they're good kids, and so we're not getting extra money for them because they're not in vocational programs. We're not getting recognition necessarily from them because they're not taking 20 AP exams and scoring 5s and getting accepted to MIT.
Are all of the education programs listed in CTE, like the teaching programs?
Yes, you can. Are you meaning like what certification it takes to do that?
Like
yes.
kids who want to learn to be teachers.
Well, there is, under the CTE, there's that program they can go through where they can actually like intern and spend some hours at elementary schools and stuff like that.
And is there can they pick focuses like be a math teacher or physics teacher?
At that point, no.
Okay.
No, it's just about what is it like to be a teacher.
Okay.
Which is great. I mean, I do have students that are in that program, and they're enthusiastic and they're very involved. So, advocacy, the community, the people, by me being in this area, I come and take my conferences and workshops here at LPI. I do the NASA Explorer Schools, things that I kind of stumble upon as I go along, and it's not necessarily something that anybody came to my district and said, hey, we're doing all these wonderful things, come join us. It's when you stumble upon it and find it. And they're wonderful, wonderful programs. So that's kind of where our students are in this middle ground. You know, I can't go because my campus is not offering we are not offering any space science. No astronomy, no earth and space science, nothing like that. And it wouldn't.
Are there student clubs that have to do with that sort of thing?
The way student clubs are working now these days, you basically anything that already exists as a student organization is an official recognized organization.
Okay.
We don't have one that is space oriented on our campus. So if the students did decide that they wanted to do something like that,
right,
they would end up being They can form and be a club, but they won't be an organization, which has different benefits.
Because I know my personal experience with college clubs is they can actually influence the curriculum by the people they're connected to in the industry, and even in high school, 10 parents have more power than 2 administrators, and if especially in Texas where there's high technology everywhere. If two groups of parents get together and decide my children need to have a science club because they're not being taught it and they're interested in it, then I mean this kind of thing could happen.
Well, I sponsor our rocket club.
Right.
And on our
Which is
campus.
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I do that.
That's a space club.
That is, well,
Way to go. It's a club, not an organization.
Right?
but no, we're a club, not an organization.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So, like, we can't just. Our students don't get excused. We don't get any money from the district or the campus to go, no field trips or anything like that. My students compete in the TART contest and in Student Launch Initiative. That's beyond that, and like I said, they came here for a conference, but we have to raise all of our own money, and it takes permission from above and beyond for us to miss any school to go off and do our things like compete in DC or to go and launch the rocket.
What's the process that whereby you could become an organization?
It's pretty set. I'm sure that there probably is a stack of paperwork and red tape that could take years to get through the bureaucracy.
I have a suggestion, and it's a long-term kind of idea, and it basically embarrasses the school district into moving forward. There's a program, I'm sure you've heard of it, it's called First Robotics.
Mm-hmm. We have robotics.
Right, and so if you get a First Robotics team together, what they've actually seen is that not only do the test scores of the kids on the robotics team rise when they're involved in it, but the test scores of the whole school rise, which is really kind of amazing, you know. The average test scores seem to go up in math and science, and so you know, maybe the solution is to start as many of these sorts of clubs, even though they can't get official status as organizations.
And see, first is an official organization.
Right.
So they're traveling, and we do have one, and it is on our campus, and they do very well. And they travel to other states several times a year to go off and do that.
So you sort of start a groundswell of all of these sort of techno, science-y kinds of things that prepare kids for later in life.
Making up purples. And
I forgot the statistics, but it's something like 40% of last year's MIT matriculating class freshmen were kids with first experience. You know?
Yeah, and my Rocket kids, my
sort of
senior
deal.
team that placed in the top 20 last year and qualified us to apply for that SLI grant. One was accepted with practically a full ride to Florida Institute of Technology.
Fantastic.
One's at UT, one's at A&M, and then we have one at out in San Marcos.
So if you can't get the education from the state, you go get it yourself.
Right. And that's I can impact so many students on that, and continue to encourage students in my physics classes to try to join the other types of classes.
But you still want an astronomy class at your school.
Not just necessarily astronomy. I would like to keep the rigor at a level that is, I think, worthy of a fourth-year science. And not necessarily have it be the type of class where I love the cake balls, okay? I get all different flavors of cake balls, and I get, some that are perfectly covered in their chocolate coating and some that are kind of lumpy, and I'm just as proud, and I pat my girls and boys on the back, no matter how their cake balls turn out.
Do you do the thing where you drop two at the same time? And see
we do have a running joke, and yes, in my classroom, it's a pretty crazy classroom. I wear my Harry Potter cape and my invisibility cape and disappear lots during, and I defy physics and in my classroom. And I have I try to keep it very engaged and very student focused. I'm not necessarily on a stage when I'm in my class. It's hands-on. And I'd like to keep that kind of excitement building. And if we don't have students that even understand, nothing from the solar system other than the fact that gravity exists, kind of thing, and Newton's laws, in physics class we don't go outside of the Earth. And here we are in this area, and I have students that don't know about the messenger program. They don't know about Chandra. They don't know they know a little bit about the Hubble telescope. Right. They know about the space shuttle, and and here in this area, they either have class or go to church with the children of the astronauts. This whole area here just kind of takes it for granted because we're here, that we're going to have students that know these things. And they have you try to engage them in a discussion about going to the moon or leaving, our solar system at some point. I get all excited and hope, and at the beginning of the year, and tell them, I hope you're the one that makes it to Mars. And I can say that was my student, and they look at me with just these glazed eyes. There's no curiosity, none at all.
And to be honest, I found that same thing in Florida. It's been really hard to get advocacy groups started. It's been really hard to get people motivated because a lot of the people that I would think would be the most prone to, hey, I'm a space nut too, don't you want to go do stuff? And I said, yeah, I kind of worked on that for 10 hours today at the office, and I had to deal with office politics messed in with all of it, and I don't want to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to go talk to a school about it, because what I'm going to say is, kids, guess what? You're going to have a great idea for a rocket, and then somebody's going to say, well, my boss has a different idea, and we're going to go with his because I want to look good to my boss, not because his idea is better. It's like, how do you go over all of that and find the people who are excited enough about it to be involved with it?
Right.
And I think you're right. You're so close to space here, and in Florida and other places too, that it just kind of gets overlooked, and they're like, there's so much stuff going on. They can go to the Space Center and get a much better space education.
The perception that I saw with my kids over the last 2 years is that they actually think that we are stopping the space program because of what's happening on the forefront of national politics. The little that they managed to glean out of the news from, they have this perception that we're shutting our space program down.
That's the American perception.
Right,
That's not just your kids. Your kids are a litmus test
right,
for the rest
and
of society.
so where is,
Pretty much.
why would they even consider any kind of what they perceive as, a space science when it's not going to get them any money? And that's their perception, and it's a misperception.
Yeah, God bless you for trying to get anybody interested in aerospace right now. I say that as an aerospace engineer. I'd love to see what aerospace enrollment in colleges right now. Zero.
Well, and I'm really lucky. I have a teaching assistant that comes in, and she used to be employed at is it called the JBL? Okay, and where she was a diver, and so the kids get really excited and interested when I give her some time in class to talk about how what we're talking about applies to what she's doing with the used to do with the astronauts under the water, and I just. There are times when I grew up knowing and living this. My dad, was on the rockets. I grew up in Titusville, Florida, and when the rockets went up, my mom would get us out of bed, and we would stand in the middle of Holly Street that would shake while the rockets going up, and so I saw all of those, and so I live and breathe the space program, and my father's still involved in the space program, and he's close to 70 years old, and could have retired ages ago, but he's staying. Right. I mean, he's staying until the last shuttle. I mean, he's going to stay till the last shuttle, and which we thought was going to be earlier than it was, but technically he could have retired IBM just ages and ages and ages ago. But he lives it. I live it. My whole family understands the impact.
We're right next to the building they built.
Yeah. Well, and he used to work over across the street over there, and I guess now I don't even know. His particular division is still doing what they're doing in terms of the space in terms of the shuttle, but different companies.
Yes, but
his boss. I don't
so if he's been in the aerospace business, he's changed his badges 5 times in 10 years.
Right, but he had been IBM for 25 before that. He was your typical IBM space guy. And
white shirts.
Yes.
That was my sophomore C programming teacher. He was IBM through the beginning of the shuttle.
Yeah.
The only level 5 software I think ever really existed.
Well, I really, really, really want to, keep advocating and get kids, parents, districts, schools, principals, whoever, excited about it. There is value in having an astronomy class.
Well, the thing about astronomy is that an astronomy class doesn't just cover the stars and the planets. It covers the history of science. I mean,
yes, well, and the rigorousness of the math that's involved. And even an understanding of what is it.
Have you? I'm sorry to cut
Go
you
ahead.
off, but
No.
have you? And I don't know when they're serving lunch yet.
No, they're still talking over there. I think, right? Yeah.
Not sure.
But perhaps the advocacy for getting more rigorous science classes in the 4th year of high school actually starts in the 1st year of middle school. And maybe what you have to do is start getting students interested in some of the heavier stuff actually much earlier on, so that they have something to look forward to when they get to high school.
That's a
and
great
have
idea.
people that are part of the astronomy club start coming to talk to the science classes in 6th grade.
Yep.
So that the kids can say, when I get to high school, I can look through a telescope and, count craters on the moon or what.
Especially the WAVE program. My son's in that right now. That'd be a great place to go, the 8th grade WAVE program. Go, hey.
And then we need to extend that back to having the administration support that, because and getting the parents. I'm not very involved in terms of funding. I mean, I own a home. I know that I have property taxes, and that I help support my son's school district. But in terms of with all these budget cuts that are happening, when you hire a school bus, you're paying the school bus driver $15 an hour or 10. I think it's 15. Plus, you have to pay for the mileage of the bus. You have to get permission for the students to be out of the classroom, and they're only allowed to be out of the classroom due to those kinds of activities a certain number of days. But where do you get the support from that? Pressure from parents, pressure from the community.
So my high school, now I admit this was several decades ago, actually had an observatory on top of the high school.
Yeah, some do.
It started
Nice.
by a teacher advocate, and it was a club. Of course, this is back before there was a difference
Right.
between organizations and clubs. And
Right,
but,
right.
But ultimately, I mean, that was a thing that a lot of the kids looked forward to getting involved in when they got to high school, because every day they go off to elementary school and junior high school and see that dome on top of the high school, and they'll say, well, what is that?
Right, yeah.
So,
Gotta have signature things and signature events, which I'm surprised more kids aren't interested in rockets. I mean, you know, you get to light something off and shoot it up in
Right.
the air.
I have, this is the biggest year since I've been the sponsor, and we have 18 students. 18 students in 2 teams, plus we're one of 10 high schools in the nation to have the Student Launch Initiative grant. And that's a group of 12 students. Out of that 18, 12 of them are involved in the Student Launch Initiative.
What's your total student population at your school?
I want to say we're around 2,700.
Okay.
I'll tell you
pretty
my
good.
first introduction to rocketry, aside from the fact that my dad was in the space business, but as a senior in high school, I was given the opportunity to assist the chemistry teacher who taught juniors, right? And she would make up this compound. It was iodine and whatever that metal is that you put water on and it burns. Is it?
Phosphorus? Or no,
I forget whatever it is. Anyway, bottom line is she was make. Pardon?
It is potassium?
Potassium will do that,
Yeah.
yeah, if it's
Potassium
exposed
or
to water.
Something.
there's one or two more.
Yeah. Anyway, so she'd mix it up, and you put a couple of drops on it, and it'd make some purple smoke, and the kids would all get really cool, about that. And so she was making up a batch, and she mixed it up, and she said, "Okay, now put it in the jar, and put the lid on the jar, put the jar on the shelf." And so I'm holding the jar like by the lid, right? And I'm walking towards the glass door cabinet to put it on the shelf, and the jar takes off like a rocket out of my hand. Burns my fingers like this.
Oh, no.
Apparently there was moisture in the cap.
Yes.
Oh, crap.
And,
Wow.
and so that was my first experience. It went right through the glass door.
Right, and you
So I was
lived, and you know
just
what,
gonna
and
work
you
for NASA.
lived, and you lived, and didn't necessarily, you didn't get permanently scarred.
Yeah, if that happened today,
And
there'd probably
is- oh, Lord.
banned student assistants and lots.
Well, we do.
Yeah.
We no longer have, student assistants in that. I know it's very. You are very, very careful and go above and beyond what you need to do to be considered safe.
Well, I think grassroots advocacy. That's a key to this whole thing, and wild ideas like having the administrator light the first fuse on the rocket.
Right.
competition.
Well, and what I did is during our T5s, I got signed up for Yuri's Night. It happens to be
Nice.
the night before my SLI team leaves to go to Huntsville, Alabama
Oh,
to
perfect.
shoot
Cool.
their 70-inch tall rocket.
fantastic.
This is a huge level 1, and I had to go to get my high power level 1 certification in order for the team to even apply for this grant. So I did that in the Salt Flats in Utah this last summer for that. But yeah, so I figure since the kids aren't going to be in school that day anyway, they're not going to be able to sleep because they're so excited about leaving on this trip that we might want to do we'll do a Yuri's Night thing where at least I have them all in one spot, so I know we make it all to the airport on time.
Cool.
So it's perfect, and we can advertise and really advocate. But I had to twist their arms to make them take their yearbook picture. They had no interest at all in being in the yearbook.
Well,
And because we're talking about the kids that are interested in spending, this week we spent 4 days after school, plus we do Saturdays and Sundays, almost every Saturday and Sunday, getting close to the deadline for the TARC and stuff. So they have to be pretty into the rockets to commit to that kind of time.
now would your school? Can you do large scale things? Like, could you get the portable planetarium to come and do even if it's something for ninth graders, you know, and do some kind of program or have people able to go in.
It's like a presentation for
You know what I mean?
Right.
days.
What I would say, and this isn't just my campus. I'm going to just speak to you as an
Right.
experienced science teacher here, in terms of getting something new going on any campus takes a buy-in from the administration first. And if it's not something that's already considered routine and accepted on the campus, some more than just one teacher really has to pursue and push for that to happen. Because doing what we already know works really ends up costing so much less money than venturing out and trying new things. And you know, the pressure, somebody's going to complain because of the loss of instructional time. You know, in education, we have the same personalities that, you know, are on an engineering team. We've got the cranky one that's going to naysay everything. You know, so that's why it's something that's not just as easy saying as that. It should
I'm not saying
be,
it's easy.
No,
I'm
but it
just
should
asking,
be done.
you know, like, is that a possibility? Do you have
Yes.
motivational speakers come in and talk to the
No.
school, or you don't have any kind of like
No.
general assembly?
In terms
type
of science,
stuff?
no.
Well, in terms of anything, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Because they were things that were already accepted and in place as habit.
And I think you have to be a little insidious when Jim says grassroots. That's part of it, is to go and say, well, this isn't something new. This is, you know, it's NASA, so they're local. It's something that they've done at 14,000 high schools across the country, and so we can give you their education metrics as to what the test score improvements were, what the, you know what I mean? There's
Right,
ways to do
right.
it. And I know you've got 10,000 other things on your plate, and I wouldn't even suggest doing it while you're working on getting ready for your launch.
Yeah, SLI.
But just in general, you know, I think there's ways that maybe not at your school right now, but other people could probably take this same concept, and you can't bring it up as, I found this new thing we should do, because you're
Well,
right, everybody's not
yeah,
going to love that. You can
and-
say, we're missing out on something that everybody else is doing that's working really well.
Right.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe that we're the last ones to get on the bandwagon. And sometimes that's the administrators going, oh,
Exactly.
what
Yeah,
do you
they
mean
don't
everyone
want-
else is
yes,
doing it? And
yes.
you're like, well, maybe they just didn't tell you because they thought you knew, but
Yeah.
here's what these, you know, 10,000 other schools have done with NASA, who's right here, and we're kind of one of the only ones that haven't gotten around to it yet.
Yeah, these people spend money to fly their kids here. We don't have to do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
do they take trips to the Space Center at all?
Not at the high school level. I'm not sure what grade level they go out to.
But they do go
Yeah, I
out.
know they did. I just
They
don't
do.
remember.
You know, and that's another thing, is that you don't step on anybody else's toes. If
Right.
something, yeah. And but they do in the early years,
Okay.
in the elementary
I think
level.
in
they go.
Florida, in Brevard County, they have a thing, and it's all sponsored by community organizations, and they go in 6th and 7th grade. I mean, it's basically like they go on the tour.
No, I actually
so.
think I think they have to spend the money to take the kids there.
That would
no,
be,
but
that
it's
would be
not
why
like
they don't think that the space industry is like still booming. It doesn't exist for them anymore.
Yeah, they went in 6th grade. Now I don't remember it. Well, and so I'm sure that there's some money that has to be spent. But
Yeah.
anyways, but I know that they do take 6th and 7th graders. Every 6th grader in the county goes.
Would it
And
take
then I
some
think
kind
a
of
percentage of the
legislative
7th
action
graders.
to make a program that would pay for it, to take the monkey off of the administration's back? I mean,
What can everybody do to help? I mean, that's I think what the end
Yes.
result is. Like,
to
we get the problem.
to ask
but-
the district what we want to make sure that our kids have a place in the growth of the space industry, or we want our children to be prepared to make decisions. These are the kids that are going to be making decisions. You know, when I'm old and cranky myself, I want them to be educated and aware of what they are saying yes or no to. And, you know,
And that
if-
takes a rigorous science class.
it does. It takes an understanding. If we are going to send somebody to Mars, or not going to send them, I want the people that are making those decisions to
informed
actually
about it.
know what they're talking about. And they don't if they don't even understand. You know, we know that the Earth revolves around the sun, but the majority of people don't know why seasons happen. They are misinformed. They are
Or why
misinformed.
the tides happen.
Or why, you know, why the tide, and, you know, so and that's my big thing. You know, I really,
How
there
can you
are
do wetlands management if you don't understand why the tides happen?
right. Yeah, or even what the purpose, yeah, you know, and it's AP Environmental Science, you know, I really want to push, you know, people towards that, you know, because then you got to understand the impact. How come toxins are building up because we've taken out our marshes, you know, that were natural filters, you know, and now we're building, you know, housing developments and stuff, but...
So Cindy says
Okay.
lunch is starting.
Excellent.
So start to wrap up.
Well, and, you know, if anybody ever has any questions, I have my own website. And I didn't even think about bringing any of my cards with me today. It is, okay, Cindy Wood, C-I-N-D-I,
What did I do with my pen?
.net. It's not difficult. CindyWood.net. No S. There we go. Just CindyWood.net.
Dry erase is off.
And my SLI team uses it. It has a tab on there. My physics classes have a tab on there. And then you can also send me messages there. And
They don't have to steal your pen.
I guess I can, I can also maybe put it out on the board, out in the front there. You know, I'm interested in ideas, like you said, starting grassroots movements. How do we do this? Getting people to ask the district, what are we doing to get our kids?
I want to wait and
Okay.
talk about this when we're off camera.
Oh, okay.
For your sake.
And- yeah, we still need sponsors for my Student Launch Initiative team.
Oh, you should have started with that. I've been talking
Send
nothing
me
but
money.
make a session on who can give money to student.
Hey, there we go.
Not kidding. All right, are we off
We could
camera?
talk about this all
I
day.
don't, no, I wasn't sure if we were supposed to turn the camera
Off
off or
or,
not.
yeah, instead for next thing.
I think so, yeah, because he came in and turned it on right
Oh, okay.
before.
I wanted to write down the
Yeah, there's actually, when you go to connect, it will pop it up, but you need to say other. Yeah, okay, the directions there. Yeah, and it's, got that.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's the same one that's here every time I come.
Yeah, it never changes.
All right, let me.
All right.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so
No, I was so nervous to even start talking, but you guys were awesome. And like I said, I didn't even have the idea till last night,
Yeah,
so I just grabbed a bunch of my stuff and,
I sympathize. There was a class that I would have been able to take if I had one more like
Wood, singular.
Oh, I
yeah,
keep
wood
doing that.
singular.
And,
Yeah, and that's, I mean, are we off camera?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
I don't know how to turn it off.
Okay.
I don't know if we're
I'm
supposed
just
to.
gonna.
Oh, when we
kill
go
the
out in the
audio.
hall.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
but yeah, it was called the history of scientific thought, and it was taught by an astrophysics
Nice.
professor. And if you learn